And welcome back to the week of Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from, if I get this name right, Jeddah Demont, who asked the question, who won the fight? Pitch Black from The Legend of the Guardians or Freddy Krueger, our infamous Mr. Sandman himself. So Freddy Krueger, obviously Fred Krueger, was a child killer, alleged pedophile. In the reboot, it was very much made clear, he was a pedophile. It's only alluded to in the original series, but it is implied. It definitely is implied. As such, as a human, Domino, my dog's trying to get it. No, Domino. Go lay down. So, as a human, we don't know actually how he killed victims. They show him like Freddy versus Jason that the claws may have been a factor, but either way. When he obviously died, made a deal with dream demons to be the guys who gave me this job. Deal with dream demons to basically become the Sandman, and he kills you in your dreams. As such, his powers are limited and yet unlimited all at once. He exists in the world of dreams. In the dream world, his power is like definitive. Like he can do whatever the hell he wants. He can't be killed. He can't even really be beaten. Although he can be overpowered with someone who's got a strong enough imagination and a distinct lack of fear in him. That is really where Freddy's power truly lies, is in fear. The more fear he's creating, the more people fear him. I actually own the entire series, but I got it as a gift for Halloween one year. The more people fear him, the more greater his strength goes. We actually see that in Freddy vs. Jason, which technically isn't canon, but we can treat it as such, because it does lend towards the whole idea of fear. But if people, as he even says, I can't come back if no one's afraid, or people don't remember. And that's the thing, if people don't know of Freddy Krueger, you don't spread his name around, the fear can't spread. He can't get you, really. But there's another catch to that, too. Freddy, for somehow, someway, can be brought into the real world. By grabbing him and waking up in time, you can bring him into the physical world. In the physical world, his powers are decreased drastically, but they are not completely hindered. We do see, like in Elm Street 2, he does still have some level of ability, like set the pool on fire. He was able to manipulate certain things in the real world. But he wasn't, he did not have, like, he couldn't just warp reality out of whim. Like, I'm going to turn this world into Candyland, except it's all acid. No, he can't do that. But, setting some brief pyrokinesis, some telekinesis here and there. He can do this. Possession in, again, Nightmare 2, possession was a thing he was able to do. And we see it in also, I think, Nightmare 3 as well, where he was able to possess people and cause them to kill themselves. But once in the real world, his powers are very much limited. His physicality is not much greater than the physicality of someone of that build. Though maybe slightly hints to his supernatural nature at that point. Pitch Black basically existed kind of near the dawn of time. Basically, the Man in the Moon kind of created these individuals. Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, Sandman. And I'm guessing he created Pitch Black, or Pitch Black always existed. I'm not sure what the actual lore for that was. They don't really go into that much detail for it. But he is the anti-Sandman. He is the boogeyman. His powers are derived from fear, and the fear mostly of children, but of other people as well. And, the more people believe in him, the boogeyman, then the stronger he becomes. His power, though unlike Freddy, while he can induce dreams, he exists actually in the physical world. Granted, he can't interact with the physical world if not enough people believe in him, as we see later in the movie where people just phase right through him. And like most most people can't even see him. But that's the Guardians can, but they're a different type of beings overall. That said, though, his powers are still, very dangerous, even when he's not at full power, as he manipulates black sand of nightmares. And with the black sand, he can create all kinds of things. Really, he can just mold it to his being and induce nightmares. So and really, you could theoretically beat him physically, but the way to really they beat him in the movie was to basically overwhelm everyone else with the thoughts and hopes and beliefs that the Big Four and Jack Frost instilled. while weakening his influence and ultimately taking away his power. So the question is, who wins in this fight? Well, assuming that that Pitch Black has to sleep, Pitch Black versus Freddy in the dream world is a very weird scenario, because while we don't know if this guy even has to sleep. That's the thing. From the way it's kind of implied, while Sandman has to sleep, I don't know if Pitch Black has to sleep. None of these guys really have to eat if they don't want to. They're technically immortal beings, but Santa likes cookies and all that stuff. I'm sure they all do eat, and I think they all indulge in like sleep and stuff like that. So if Pitch has to sleep, he could encounter Freddy in the dream world. Because there's no other way otherwise that he's going to be encountering Freddy in the dream world, unless he himself is asleep. Because he himself doesn't seem to be able to actually go into dreams. He can just induce nightmares. That's a very big difference there. In the dream world, though, Nightmare can still... I keep calling him Nightmare. Pitch Black can still induce nightmares. He can manipulate his black sand to create nightmares. And I don't know if Freddy is someone who can induce enough fear into him. Yeah, he might be off-put by him. And Freddy might be able to, like, try to scare him. But Freddy is not like Pennywise, where he can actually psychically just point out, oh, this is what you're afraid of. This is your greatest fear. Well, guess what? Boom, your greatest fear made a realization. Freddy can't really do that. Freddy can prey on your fears and figure out what your fears are, but he doesn't actually know what your fears are right from the get. He has to kind of like do some psychological profiling on you to do that. We see that in Nightmare 3, where, yes, he's able to pinpoint what these guys are afraid of because of what they basically why they're basically in those wards to begin with, and what they pretend to be in the dream world, more or less. Like, he knows the punk rock chick is afraid of, needles and all that stuff, because she's a druggie. With the nerd, he measures up as strong, because in the real world, he's not very strong. So, yeah, it's one of those things where, obviously, it's not always the case, but Freddy can usually pick and point what your fear is. It's just he doesn't automatically know, whereas Pitch Black, got it right that time, actually can do that. He can figure out prey on your specific fears. He can figure out what that is. So that makes Pitch more suited to duking it out with Freddy in the dream world than Freddy is with Pitch. And honestly, I don't see there being a clear-cut winner in the dream world. The winner is going to be decided when they actually get brought into the real world. Because I honestly feel like, because they're both supernatural entities and he's existed, Pitch Black, for so much longer, they'd pretty much be on an even playing field. While Freddy's overall manipulation of the dream world is probably more absolute, he's not going to be able to prey on most of Pitch Black's fears. It's just going to be a clash of, powers at that point. Pitch also has a fair degree of control over, nightmares, dream essence things in and of himself. So they're pretty much going to be on an even playing field, and he's been doing it much longer. So it's really going to come down to when the dream, when Freddy gets pulled into the real world. And really, at that point, I think it's pretty obvious Freddy is going to be at a very large disadvantage. Pitch can attack from a distance. He can fly using his hands, float, create sides, blades, shields, monsters out of his sand. Whereas Freddy does have some mild reality warping capabilities. They're only mild. They are nothing compared to his dream capabilities at that point. So, unfortunately, Freddy is going to be completely at the mercy of Pitch Black at that point, who can then prey on Freddy's fears as well. Because Freddy is someone who does have his own set of fears. And ultimately, that is what's going to take out... that's not what's going to take out. That's what's going to determine the winner in this. So once it gets to the real world, Pitch is going to wrap Freddy up in the sand, prey on his fears, and just take him out. Now, Freddy, we know, doesn't die that easy. He would probably come back in another movie, Pitch Black vs. Freddy 2, The Freddying. It's even more Krueger than before. But if you're talking about the initial confrontation, my money goes on Pitch Black. Freddy would pose a challenge to him in the dream world, but the minute it goes to the real world, Freddy's done. Freddy's dead, as the movie goes. Anyway, I digress. that is my thoughts though on this match. Who do you think takes the win, Freddy or Pitch Black? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Superhero Magic, what if, anything you do with the channel. Put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to that at some point. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.